Hello people, I would love to welcome you all to the first installment of Progressive Talk Daily, PTD. On PTD we discuss all the news, all the politics, and all the issues pressing our world. The mission of PTD is basically to provide people with real news, real perspectives on real issues that affect them and affect everyone across our nation and across our globe. I want to inform people about real issues and help them become so informed that they can make real and essential decisions about the way we can conduct our democracy and conduct a better America. So, I want to get started as the first topic on PTD history to talk about the financial system. So basically, for those of you who don't know, the financial system is very dysfunctional and very chaotic today. They're too big to fail. And I want to elaborate on that inside this video. So I'm going to break down the financial system, the current state of the financial system, and then the history of the financial system, and then what we can do to fix the financial system as a whole. So I'll begin with the history of the financial system. From 1797, when the American financial system was established, all the way to basically 1933, we see this overall boom and bust cycle. We see this survival of the fittest mentality. We see this dog-eat-dog manner conducted by the financial institutions. We see people like Carnegie and Rockefeller able to climb and claw through the ranks of America by trampling over anybody who gets in the way. They were greedy, they were spineless, they were animals. They were uncivilized, and that is what the financial system rewarded throughout the 19th century and into the early 20th century. However, in 1933, the Great Depression was in full swing, and it was one of the last boom and bust cycles. And essentially, FDR and other progressives established a solid set of regulations to prevent another Great Depression from occurring in our nation. One of these regulations was Glass-Steagall, where commercial banks and investment banks were separated. So to break that down, banks were not allowed to take your money in the form of deposits and be able to use that to loan out risky loans and basically screw over the economy. And this solid set of regulations in the financial system set the groundwork for this 50-year period of economic expansion. This was a golden age. This was a period in which we had a robust and strong middle class. We had a nation that invested in its youth through educational spending. We had a nation that invested in our infrastructure. We had a nation that invested in a strong healthcare system. We were the best nation in the world for a very long time, 50 years. However, in the early 1980s, we began to see the deregulation of the financial system with the passage of two very boneheaded and quite retarded pieces of legislation passed called the Depository Institutions Deregulation and Monetary Control Act, which made the government secure and insure deposits of up to $100,000. Before it was only $40,000, and it basically ended interest rate ceilings on deposits inside of banks. And we also saw Garn St. Germain, which was a bill that lets commercial banks start lending out money, which basically got rid of the purpose of Glass-Steagall, which set the groundwork for the golden age which I just described. All this deregulation led to the collapse of the seventh largest bank at the time, Continental Illinois, in 1984, and then the savings and loans crisis in 1989. Savings and loans banks are where a bank lets people deposit money in the form of a savings account, and then what occurs is that they use that money to go and give out loans. However, the deregulation of this made the savings and loans banks collapse, and that sent ripples across the economy, triggering multiple recessions. We then see in the late 1990s the repeal of Glass-Steagall, which was the last domino ultimately to fall. And basically, we see by the 2000s the financial system is yet again influenced by this survival of the fittest mentality of the early financial system days, this dog-eat-dog culture. In my opinion, and in many other people's opinions, this is not the way a civilized society's financial system is supposed to be conducted. they're supposed to be conducted by making sure that the main function of it, which is to protect and to manage our finances, is to be met. And it was not during the 2000s and up until today. Banks began giving ridiculous mortgages on homes to people who they knew would not return the money, and loans with incredibly high interest rates to regular people and businesses. Now basically what they would do is they would back up large pools of money with the income and the money generated by these people paying back these mortgages and loans, and they would sell these pools of money to investment banks, and these investment banks would then distribute these pools of money across the economy. And these pools of money were essentially ticking time bombs, because they knew that these mortgages and loans would eventually not be able to be paid back, especially when the interest rates on these loans and these mortgages were steadily climbing. But they sold them anyway. And eventually it did explode, and it exploded in a very, very large manner. In 2007, this was the beginning of the Great Recession. Millions of people lost their jobs, their homes, and their businesses, all because the financial system became some sort of Wild West institution in our nation. $7 trillion. I want to emphasize that, because that is such a staggering statistic. $7 trillion were lost during the Great Recession. $7 trillion. This money, $7 trillion of it, could have been used to invest in our educational system, invest in our infrastructure, invest in our healthcare, invest in making America a stronger America. Instead, it was wasted because the financial system could not take care of itself. So, the question becomes now, as we've gone over the current dysfunctional state of the financial system and the history of our boom and bust financial system, how can we fix it? The answer, my friend, is to strip down every piece of the institution, reinstall and strengthen the regulations that were established after the stock market crash of 1929 by FDR and the progressives of that era, and then enact Glass-Steagall and make sure loans and mortgages cannot be securitized, or in layman's terms, turn into a pool of money backed by those loans and mortgages, and make sure banks make smart and efficient loans and mortgages, and reestablish an interest rate ceiling, and make sure banks do not screw over families trying to create a business or buy a home. These regulations were one of the important factors that established the golden age of economic expansion in America, the period from the 40s until the early 80s, where a strong and robust middle class created jobs across the far reaches of the economy, where our children were prepared for a bright future, and our infrastructure and healthcare systems, just like our nation as a whole, were the strongest in the world. Do not let another financial crash occur by allowing the financial system to gamble and screw with your money. Reform the system so that it executes its function, managing and protecting our money. Thank you for listening to PTD, Progressive Talk Daily. I hope you all got a great taste of what this show is all about. Keep tuning in if you want more videos like this by hitting the subscribe button below, and have a great day, people.